The city of Cytheria sparkled like a jewel under the twin suns. Towers of crystal and steel stretched high into the sky, and hovercars zipped between them like silver fish in a river. From the ground, the city looked orderly, controlled, perfect. But inside the royal palace, excitement and tension twisted through the air like electricity. Princess Leora stood on the balcony of the royal palace, her long silvery hair glinting in the sunlight. Her violet eyes scanned the crowd below. The citizens of Cytheria and dignitaries from countless alien worlds had gathered in the plaza. They waited to witness something rare, the beginning of the challenge to find a worthy partner for the princess. Leora's father, King Theros, stepped forward from the balcony beside her. His deep, calm voice echoed over the plaza. Citizens, honored guests, and visiting suitors from across the galaxy, he began. For generations, the Princess of Cytheria has chosen her own path. She values courage, wisdom, and honor over wealth, titles, or power. Today, the challenge begins. Only those who prove themselves worthy may continue. A cheer erupted from the crowd, a mixture of excitement and curiosity. From distant worlds, aliens of all shapes and sizes had come. Some had 6 arms, others glided on wings, and a few even shimmered like living light. They all wore clothing of shining metals or flowing fabrics, designed to show their wealth, status, or physical power. Many looked confident, some smug, as if winning Leora's hand were only a formality. Among them stood a human. Ethan was small compared to most aliens. His frame was thin, his skin slightly tanned, and he wore simple clothing, a fitted jacket and pants made for space travel, not courtly appearances. He had no title, no wealth, and no impressive alien abilities. In fact, most of the suitors whispered to one another as they looked at him. He's human, weak. He will fail before he even begins. Ethan did not answer. He only watched Princess Leora, who stood silently, observing the crowd. There was no smile on her face, no excitement, no softness. She seemed untouchable. The stories were true. Many had tried, and all had failed. Leora was known to reject all suitors, no matter how brilliant, powerful, or beautiful. King Theros raised his hand again. The first test will begin at the Hall of Minds. This test measures intelligence, strategy, and creativity. Those who fail will be eliminated. The crowd shifted as the suitors prepared. Some had brought advanced devices to assist them. Others relied on natural skills honed for decades. Ethan adjusted the strap of his backpack and took a deep breath. Humans had no special alien powers, but humans had something else: curiosity, determination, and imagination. The Hall of Minds was massive. Transparent walls allowed sunlight to pour in, reflecting off polished floors. Holographic displays hovered in mid-air, showing puzzles, riddles, and complex algorithms. The challenge was simple to describe but nearly impossible to master. Each suitor would face the puzzles individually, timed, and observed by Leora herself. The first alien, a tall being with 6 arms named Grithon, stepped forward. Each arm moved with precision, solving multiple puzzles at once. He smiled, confident, as holographic symbols rotated and aligned according to his commands. Leora watched silently, her expression unreadable. When Grithon completed the puzzle, the hall's lights pulsed green. He had passed. One by one, other aliens performed their tests. Some struggled, some cheated with hidden devices. Most passed partially but failed to impress. When Ethan's turn came, murmurs spread through the yaw. "Oh, the human is next," someone whispered. "This will be amusing." Ethan stepped forward. He had never seen technology like this before. Holograms floated around him, symbols and figures moving faster than the eye could track. Other suitors were already thinking ahead, using devices to manipulate the patterns. Ethan closed his eyes for a moment and let his mind think differently. He did not try to match the alien's speed. Instead, he observed the patterns, noticing repetitions and connections the others had overlooked. Slowly, he began interacting. with the holograms moving them in a sequence that made sense not through force but through understanding. Time ticked down. The hall fell silent. Leora's violet eyes remained fixed on him, unblinking. The holograms spun faster. Suddenly, Ethan pressed the final symbol into place. A golden light spread across the room. The test was complete. He had passed. A murmur went through the crowd. The humans had impressed no one before, but Ethan had solved the puzzle in a way the aliens had never imagined. Leora tilted her head slightly, a hint of curiosity in her eyes. The next test was physical. Not that humans were known for strength, but endurance, agility, and strategy could make a difference. The candidates entered a course suspended high above the ground. Floating platforms moved unpredictably, gravity shifted without warning, and energy barriers blocked certain paths. Many aliens relied on their natural abilities: wings, multiple arms, or telekinetic powers. Ethan had only his body and his mind. The course began. Most suitors dashed forward recklessly, relying on their abilities. Several fell into the void between platforms. Ethan moved carefully, calculating each jump, timing each swing of a rope and using his balance and reasoning rather than power. Halfway through, an alien named Terran, who could hover and fly, blocked Ethan's path intentionally. "Step aside. Human, you will fail," Terran sneered. Ethan smiled faintly. "Maybe, but I will try my best." Instead of confronting Terran, Ethan found an alternative route. He used small movements to shift platforms, creating a bridge where none existed. Step by step he advanced, moving in a way no alien had considered. The crowd gasped as he crossed the final gap, landing safely on the finishing platform. Leora's eyes softened fractionally. This human was not strong, not powerful, yet he had achieved what many genetically superior beings could not. The final test of the day was diplomacy. Suitors were asked to negotiate with alien ambassadors from various worlds. A wrong word, a lack of empathy, or arrogance could result in failure. Many suitors tried to impress with speech patterns, gestures, or showing off their knowledge of alien history. Ethan listened. He asked questions, learned about the ambassadors' cultures, and responded with honesty. He did not pretend to know things he did not. He did not boast or cheat. Slowly, he gained the trust of the alien representatives, even calming a dispute between two factions that had almost erupted into conflict. By the end, the ambassadors nodded in approval. Leora's violet eyes lingered on Ethan. She said nothing, but the look on her face told a story. She had seen many suitors. She had seen them fail in arrogance, pride, or laziness. Ethan had none of those faults. When the day's challenges concluded, King Theros returned to the balcony. "Today, we have witnessed remarkable skill, intelligence, and courage," he said. "Many suitors have impressed, but one has shown something unexpected. A human named Ethan has passed all trials with ingenuity and integrity. Tomorrow the next round will begin, and the challenges will grow even more difficult. Let all candidates prepare." The crowd erupted into applause. Some cheered for the aliens, some cheered for the human. Many whispered to one another, astonished at what they had seen. Ethan stood quietly. He did not celebrate. He knew the real challenges were still ahead. Leora had not yet spoken to him, had not smiled, had not acknowledged him beyond that watchful gaze. But for the first time, he sensed something different. Perhaps humans, underestimated and dismissed, could prove their worth in a galaxy that did not yet believe in them. That night, as Ethan looked at the twin suns setting over Zetheria, he felt a mix of fear and excitement. The path ahead would be harder. The other suitors would try to stop him. The galaxy would not easily accept a human among the best of its species. Yet, deep inside, Ethan smiled. He had faced the impossible and survived, and he would continue, not for glory, not for riches, but because he knew that humans had something the galaxy needed: courage, creativity, and heart. The morning sun rose over Zytheria, painting the crystal towers in gold and silver. The city felt alive with excitement. Today was the second day of challenges for Princess Leora's suitors. Unlike yesterday, when the tests were mostly straightforward, today's trials promised to push each candidate to the limits of intelligence, strength, and adaptability. Ethan woke early in the modest quarters provided for the candidates. His human instincts told him he needed to prepare, not just for the tasks themselves, but for the ways the aliens would try to underestimate him. Most of them saw humans as weak, fragile, or too simple-minded to succeed. Yesterday had surprised them, but today would be far harder. He ate a small breakfast, mainly protein packs and fruit, and reviewed the mental puzzles in his mind. Humans had a unique ability: creativity. Unlike aliens who relied on instinct, power, or technology, humans could look at a problem from angles that others would never consider. Ethan had to rely on that. The first trial of the day was an intelligence challenge in the Grand Hall of Strategy. Candidates were placed in separate booths, each containing a holographic map of an alien world. The goal was to plan a successful resource allocation for a civilization facing famine, drought, and political unrest. They had limited time, and every decision would be evaluated for logic, fairness, and effectiveness. Most alien candidates immediately began using algorithms and predictive simulations. Some had multiple arms manipulating dozens of holograms at once. They tried to brute force solutions or exploit loopholes in the simulations, but their solutions often lacked empathy or foresight, treating the population like numbers rather than living beings. Ethan leaned forward. He began by observing the patterns of resources and understanding the culture and history of the alien civilization. He asked himself questions no alien would ask. What would the people need most? What risks could arise if I take this action? How can I balance fairness and survival? Time ticked away, and his plan took shape. He found innovative solutions: rerouting water from flooded regions to drought-stricken lands, introducing simple crop rotations unknown to aliens, and negotiating between rival factions using knowledge he had gained through observation. When he presented his plan, the judges' lights pulsed green. It was the only perfect score of the day. Leora, who had been watching quietly, tilted her head slightly. She had seen many intelligent beings, but this human solution reflected something unusual: intuition combined with reason. She made a small note, almost hidden in her datapad. Next came the physical trial. The candidates were transported to an enormous training arena. Gravity shifted unpredictably, platforms rotated and disappeared without warning, and obstacles appeared that could crush or trap anyone not careful. Most aliens relied on natural advantages. Winged suitors flew effortlessly. Multi-limbed beings climbed and manipulated platforms with ease. Ethan took a deep breath. He could not rely on strength or flight. He relied on balance, timing, and careful observation. He noticed how the platforms moved, predicting patterns faster than the aliens assumed a human could. Partway through the course, a section of the floor collapsed. An alien named Xylar, a towering figure with glowing eyes, panicked. He lost his footing and fell, narrowly grabbing the edge of a platform. Ethan hesitated for a split second. He could have bypassed him. But he knew something important. Humans had a sense of empathy that aliens often underestimated. Using a quick rope and leverage technique, Ethan helped Xylar back onto the platform. Xylar, embarrassed and surprised, nodded silently. Ethan continued without pause, finishing the course safely. Once again, his solution relied not on brute force, but careful thinking, adaptability, and the willingness to help others. Leora's eyes lingered on him. The human was different. She sensed a quality in him that even the strongest or smartest alien candidates lacked. The final trial of the morning was diplomatic skill and negotiation. Candidates were asked to mediate a dispute between two alien factions over the rights to a rare resource. The factions were known for being aggressive and cunning. Many suitors tried to impress with flowery language, threats, or demonstrations of power. Ethan observed quietly before speaking. He listened to each faction carefully, asking questions and seeking to understand their real concerns. He did not show fear, nor did he attempt to dominate the conversation. Instead, he proposed solutions that respected both parties' needs while finding a creative compromise. One alien faction was skeptical. "You are human. What do you know of our ways?" "You are weak and insignificant," their leader sneered. Ethan smiled calmly. "I do not know everything about your culture, but I do understand fairness and cooperation. If we work together, both sides can benefit. I do not need to be the strongest. I need only to be thoughtful." The factions reluctantly agreed. They were surprised, and so were the judges. A human, the species they considered fragile and limited, had successfully mediated a complex dispute without aggression, intimidation, or deceit. Leora's violet eyes followed him closely. She was beginning to realize that intelligence, courage, and honor were only parts of the equation. Humans brought something different: creativity, adaptability, and the ability to connect with others in ways aliens often ignored. During the afternoon, candidates were given a rest period before the next set of tests. The alien suitors gathered in small groups, whispering nervously about the human. "He's strange. He thinks differently. He cannot be beaten in the mind test," one muttered. "And he helped Xyler. Who does that? Only weakness," another argued. Ethan walked calmly through the palace gardens. He knew whispers followed him, but he ignored them. Being human in a galaxy of advanced aliens was challenging, but he had learned a secret: underestimate humans at your own risk. He reviewed his strategies mentally, preparing for the upcoming trials, which would test his creativity and courage in unexpected ways. The next challenge was a creative task. Candidates had to design a new technology that could solve a problem for a distant planet. Most aliens relied on known science and complex calculations. They tried to impress with flashy ideas that looked complicated but were impractical. Ethan approached the task differently. He observed the planet's problems: environmental instability, limited resources, and a population struggling to survive. Instead of flashy machinery, he designed a simple, practical solution: a modular device that could purify water, generate energy from sunlight, and communicate basic data to the inhabitants. The judges were impressed. The device was not just theoretical, it could work in reality, unlike many alien designs. Leora raised an eyebrow. The human solution combined intelligence, creativity, and practicality, a combination most aliens never considered. By evening, the first day of trials was over, but Ethan's journey was far from complete. Many alien candidates had failed or struggled, while he had succeeded in ways that astonished everyone. Still, he knew the challenges would grow more dangerous. The palace was quiet at night, lit by soft blue lights. Ethan sat by a window looking out over the city. He thought about Leora, her silent observation, and the way her eyes seemed to see through the surface of things. Humans were not naturally gifted in alien ways, but they had determination, empathy, and ingenuity. Perhaps that was enough to survive. Not just survive, but to excel. That night, a whisper reached the palace halls. Leora was speaking to her personal advisor. "This human, he is different. He does not rely on power, wealth, or status. He relies on something else, something rare. Courage, creativity, perhaps even heart." Her advisor, cautious, replied, "Princess, do not let admiration cloud judgment. Many humans are clever, but the trials will grow harder. He may not survive the next tests." Leora only smiled faintly. "We shall see. Perhaps the galaxy has underestimated humans for too long." Meanwhile, Ethan slept lightly, aware that tomorrow would bring new challenges, tests of courage, quick thinking, and perhaps even danger. But he felt ready. He had already proven that humans could think differently, solve problems creatively, and act with integrity. The morning skies over Zetheria were calm, almost deceptively peaceful. The twin suns rose slowly, casting long shadows across the crystal towers. Today was supposed to be another round of challenges for the suitors of Princess Leora. Yet, the palace felt tense as if the air itself held its breath. Ethan stretched and prepared for the day's challenges. His human instincts told him that the tasks would become even harder. Intelligence tests combined with physical trials, but nothing could prepare him for what came next. Without warning, the palace alarms blared, an urgent, high-pitched signal that echoed across the city. Lights flashed red and the citizens of Zytheria rushed into the streets looking up at the sky. A fleet of alien warships, black and jagged, emerged from hyperspace. The attacking species, known across nearby systems as the Krathar, had no diplomacy and no mercy. They had only one goal: conquer Zytheria and seize its resources. Panic spread quickly. Many of the alien suitors froze, unsure what to do. Their impressive abilities, wings, multiple limbs, or telekinesis, meant little in the face of overwhelming firepower. Citizens screamed as defensive shields activated across the city, but the Krathar ships were powerful, firing energy beams that tore through smaller towers. Ethan's heart raced, but he did not panic. Humans were not the strongest species, but they had a unique advantage: resourcefulness and quick thinking. He grabbed a communication device and activated a channel connecting the palace to the city's defense systems. The first wave of Krathar drones descended toward the main plaza, where many suitors had gathered. Grithon, the six-armed alien, shouted orders, but most suitors hesitated. They had trained for contests, puzzles, and displays of strength, but none had faced a real attack before. Ethan scanned the drones. If we focus on their weak points and create traps using city infrastructure, we can slow them down, he said. His voice was calm, almost unnervingly so. The aliens looked at him in disbelief. A human giving tactical advice during a real battle? Do you even know what you're talking about? Xylar shouted. His glowing eyes narrowed. Ethan smiled faintly. I don't need to know everything. I just need to think fast and use what we have. He dashed toward the plaza, using human speed and agility to avoid falling debris. With quick calculations, he manipulated energy barriers, redirected force fields, and guided civilians to safe areas. Using simple but clever methods, he turned the city's defenses into traps for the drones. The first wave of drones collided, with the barriers causing explosions that sent fragments into the sky. Many aliens were stunned. They had relied on power and strength, but Ethan's human ingenuity was proving more effective than brute force. As the battle raged, a squad of Krathar boarding ships attempted to land on the palace itself. Leora's advisors prepared to repel them, but the number of intruders was overwhelming. Ethan realized something crucial. The palace's defensive systems were designed for protection, not flexibility. If he could access the control panels, he could override the systems to create dynamic traps. Racing through hallways and dodging falling debris, Ethan reached the control room. His fingers flew over alien interfaces, quickly learning the patterns of energy flows. Within moments, he rerouted shields, creating corridors that would trap incoming Krathar forces and direct them away from civilians. A Krathar soldier broke through a temporary barrier, hurling toward Ethan. Without hesitation, Ethan grabbed a nearby energy rod and used it to trip the intruder, sending it crashing into a containment wall. He did not stop. There were more to come and more lives at stake. In the plaza below, Leora observed the chaos. Many suitors were panicking, some hiding, others trying to fight but failing. Yet the human moved with purpose and calm determination, organizing defenses and protecting civilians. Her violet eyes narrowed. He is not like the others, she said softly to her advisor. He does not rely on natural gifts. He relies on courage, quick thinking, and something else, something the others lack. Her advisor nodded cautiously. Princess, it is impressive. But the Krathar are too strong. Even a human cannot stop them entirely. Leora's expression hardened. Perhaps, but he shows us that strength is not everything. Observe closely. This human may yet surprise us all. The Krathar continued their assault, and a section of the city was on the verge of collapse. Ethan realized that the only way To protect the citizens was to lure the largest drone fleet into a trap he had prepared near the central energy tower. He coordinated a small team, including a few brave alien suitors who had regained courage after seeing his leadership. "Follow my plan exactly," he instructed. "We use their weight and momentum against them. The tower's energy field will redirect their force into the plasma traps I've set." The team hesitated but saw the calm determination in Ethan's eyes. Slowly, they followed. The drones. Advanced and as planned, they collided with the energy traps, their formations breaking apart. Explosions rocked the air as many were destroyed. Citizens cheered, amazed at the human leading the defense. Even as the drones fell, the Krathar flagship hovered menacingly above the city. A beam of concentrated energy shot down toward the palace. Ethan calculated angles, energy flows, and possible redirections. Using the palace's energy grids and quickly improvising with available power sources, he managed to deflect the beam just enough to avoid catastrophic damage. The palace wall shuddered, but the structure held. The alien suitors, watching from various points, could hardly believe what they saw. Their advanced technology and natural abilities had failed to counter the threat effectively. A human, underestimated and dismissed, had not only survived but led a successful defense. After hours of intense fighting, the Krathar fleet began to retreat. Their losses were significant, and the defenders' strategies, led by Ethan, had forced them into an organized withdrawal. The city of Zetheria was battered, but alive. Citizens gathered in the plaza, cheering and celebrating the unexpected heroics. Leora stood on the palace balcony, her expression unreadable but her eyes fixed on Ethan. When he emerged from the control room exhausted but steady, she observed every detail: the way he moved, the calm in his eyes, the way he had coordinated both humans and aliens without arrogance or fear. Finally she spoke, her voice carrying across the plaza. "Ethan, you have shown courage and ingenuity beyond what I imagined. You have saved lives that many would have considered hopeless. I wish to speak with you." Ethan approached, wiping sweat from his brow but maintaining composure. "Princess," he said respectfully, "I did what I could. Anyone in my place would have done the same." Leora studied him. "Perhaps, but few would have done it with your combination of creativity, courage, and calm under pressure. You think differently than anyone here. You see solutions where others see only obstacles. That is rare." Ethan felt a mix of pride and humility. "I'm honored you say that. I am not here for recognition or reward, only to do what is right." Leora's lips curved into the faintest of smiles. It was the first human, or alien, had seen her smile in a long time. "We shall see if you can continue to do what is right." "In the next trials," she said. The suitors who had survived the day gathered in the palace gardens. Many looked at Ethan with new respect, though a few still whispered envy and doubt. Grithon, Xyler, and Terran approached him cautiously. "You humans are stronger than we thought," Grithon admitted. "Not physically, but your mind. Your courage. I did not expect it." Xyler nodded, still glowing faintly with residual shock. "I underestimated you. You saved many lives today." Ethan shook his head. "I didn't do it alone. Many helped. But thank you. It's just what humans do. We think, we adapt, and we keep moving forward." Terran, still bitter, muttered, "Do not think this means you've won. There are more challenges ahead, more dangerous than this." Ethan smiled faintly. "I know. And I'm ready." As night fell, Zetheria shimmered under the twin moons. The damage from the attack was visible, but so was the resilience of its people. Humans, Leora, and even some alien suitors had witnessed something extraordinary: the value of ingenuity, courage, and empathy over brute force or status. Ethan walked along the palace balcony, looking out over the city. The twin moons reflected in his eyes, and he thought about the path ahead. He had survived the impossible and proved that humans were more than they appeared. The galaxy underestimated humanity, but perhaps that would change. Leora, watching him from afar, felt a spark of curiosity and respect. This human was no ordinary suitor. He had survived chaos, led a defense, and revealed qualities that no alien could match. Something told her that the challenges ahead would not only test his abilities, they would test her perception of humans, and maybe even her own heart. The day began with a tense quiet across Zytheria. The city had recovered from the Krathar attack, but the scars remained. Towers still bore marks from energy blasts, streets were partially blocked, and the citizens moved cautiously. The palace itself felt heavier than usual, as if the weight of expectation had settled on every corridor and hallway. Ethan awoke before sunrise, stretching and preparing himself for the most important trials yet. Today, the tests were not just about intelligence or agility. They were about morality, leadership, and selflessness. Leora's final challenge would determine who was truly worthy of her respect and the potential to stand by her side. He reviewed what he knew. Humans were not naturally the strongest or the fastest, but they had an advantage few aliens fully understood: the ability to think creatively under pressure, to cooperate, and to make tough decisions guided by ethics rather than ego. Ethan had relied on these traits before, and he would need them more than ever. The candidates gathered in the palace courtyard, where Leora herself appeared, dressed in ceremonial garb of silver and violet. Her violet eyes scanned the suitors, lingering on Ethan just slightly longer than on the others. The remaining candidates, few in number after the earlier rounds and the recent attack, stood tensely, aware that the final test was approaching. "This is the ultimate challenge," Leora announced. "It will test courage, morality, and the willingness to act for others, not yourself. Each candidate will be transported to a hazardous zone to retrieve a rare energy crystal from a collapsing asteroid. Success requires strategy, bravery, and selflessness. Failure may cost more than reputation. It may cost lives." A collective shiver ran through the remaining suitors. Many glanced at each other nervously, calculating their odds. The asteroid was a dangerous place, unstable, shifting rapidly, with volatile energy streams that could collapse entire sections at any moment. Few had the physical endurance or mental composure to succeed. Ethan remained calm. This was the kind of test humans excelled at, not because they were naturally powerful, but because they could adapt, stay focused, and put others before themselves. The candidates were teleported to the asteroid field. The surface beneath their feet was jagged and unstable, floating fragments shifting in zero gravity. Massive energy veins ran across the terrain, glowing and crackling unpredictably. Any misstep could mean instant disintegration. Ethan moved carefully, observing patterns in the asteroid's shifts. The other aliens, confident in their natural abilities, charged forward recklessly. Several fell into unstable sections, barely managing to pull themselves to safety. Ethan's human instinct for caution and observation served him well. He reached a narrow ridge overlooking a deep energy fissure. Across the fissure, the rare energy crystal pulsed with a golden light, suspended precariously on a floating platform. The task was clear, but dangerous. Ethan's mind raced. How to cross, retrieve the crystal, and ensure his own safety without causing a collapse. As he prepared to move, a faint alarm sounded. Through his sensors, he noticed another candidate had triggered a minor collapse in a nearby section. A small group of alien suitors was stranded, struggling to stabilize themselves. Ethan paused. He could rush forward for the crystal, securing his success, or he could help them first. He chose the latter. Humans were often underestimated for this very reason. They valued life over glory. Using a combination of ropes, makeshift stabilizers, and careful calculations, Ethan helped the trapped suitors regain balance and escape the collapsing section. Some grumbled, unhappy that he had delayed for others, but Ethan ignored them. Safety and morality mattered more than winning. After assisting the aliens, Ethan returned to the ridge. He studied the fissure in the floating platform. A direct jump would be impossible. Even the strongest alien might fail. Using his knowledge of momentum, he found a series of small floating rocks that acted as stepping stones. He calculated precise timings to jump, accounting for shifts in gravity and the unpredictable energy flows. Step by step, he moved across, each footfall precise, his balance unwavering. When he reached the crystal, the platform trembled. The energy crystal pulsed brightly as if aware of his presence. Ethan carefully secured it in a containment field, ensuring it would not destabilize the platform. But the asteroid was far from stable. Energy veins surged, causing tremors that cracked the ground around him. A section of the platform began to collapse. Ethan saw Taryn, an alien rival, caught on the edge of a falling fragment. She screamed, reaching for safety. Ethan had a choice: prioritize his own escape or help her. Humans often surprised others with their sense of altruism. Without hesitation, Ethan launched a cable toward her, anchoring it to a nearby rock. He pulled her to safety, risking his own footing. The platform shuddered violently, but both of them survived. Taryn, humbled and shaken, looked at him silently. She had underestimated humans at every stage, and now she saw clearly that their courage and morality could surpass raw power or natural advantage. With Taryn safe and the crystal secured, Ethan retraced his steps carefully. Every movement was calculated, ensuring that he did not trigger additional collapses. Some of the alien suitors had fallen or been trapped, relying too much on strength rather than observation and thought. Ethan's methodical approach saved him from disaster. When he finally returned to the asteroid's edge where the extraction point awaited, Leora's voice came through a communicator. "Ethan, you have faced danger, helped others, and retrieved the crystal. But there is one final consideration. You must choose. Take the crystal and complete the challenge, or help another candidate still in peril, knowing it may cost you your success." Ethan hesitated for only a moment. He had already chosen the path of morality earlier. Humans often made difficult decisions based on empathy, not ego. He scanned the asteroid field and saw Grithon, struggling on a small fragment drifting toward an energy vein. Without a second thought, Ethan adjusted his path using ropes and energy tethers to guide Grithon to safety before returning to deliver the crystal. The containment field of the crystal pulsed as Ethan returned, but he remained calm. His decision had been clear. Life and morality outweighed personal victory. Back on Scytheria, the remaining suitors were brought to the palace plaza, along with Ethan. Many were shaken from the asteroid trial, their physical and mental limits tested to the extreme. Ethan stood quietly, the energy crystal safely contained while others whispered about his actions. Leora descended from her balcony, her violet eyes fixed on him. The crowd fell silent. "Ethan," she began, "you have done more than survive. You have shown courage, intelligence, creativity, and most importantly, selflessness. You helped others even when your own success was at risk. These are qualities no alien suitor has fully displayed and qualities that reveal true worthiness." Ethan bowed respectfully. "Princess, I did what I felt was right. I did not think of myself first, only of others. That is all a human can do." Leora's lips curved into a genuine smile, rare and radiant. "You have proven yourself beyond measure. You are worthy of respect, admiration, and perhaps something more." The other suitors looked at Ethan with awe and a touch of envy. Grithon, Xyler, and Taryn all nodded quietly, acknowledging his courage and morality. The human they had dismissed as weak had demonstrated qualities that even the most powerful aliens could not match. That evening, the palace celebrated the surviving candidates. Leora approached Ethan personally, walking beside him as the festivities continued. "Humans are underestimated across the galaxy," she said softly. "Yet you have proven that courage, morality, and quick thinking can rival strength, wealth, and natural abilities. You have taught me something important. Worthiness is not always measured in power but in heart and mind." Ethan smiled faintly. "I did what I could. I am honored that you see it that way." She paused, looking at him with genuine curiosity. "Tomorrow the final judgment will be made. But today, You have already shown qualities that no other suitor possesses. I cannot ignore that. As the festivities continued, Ethan realized that he had not only survived the most dangerous challenge of his life, but he had also earned something more: the admiration of Princess Leora, respect from alien suitors, and proof that humans, despite being underestimated, could rise to any challenge. The morning air over Zytheria was calm, a stark contrast to the chaos of the past days. Citizens moved through the streets with renewed confidence, their voices lighter, their steps steadier. The Krathar threat had passed, the asteroid trials had ended, and now the palace buzzed with anticipation for the final judgment. Princess Leora stood on the balcony, her violet eyes scanning the plaza below. The surviving suitors had gathered, their expressions a mixture of respect, envy, and anxiety. Among them stood Ethan, a human who had defied expectations, survived impossible trials, and proven himself in ways that no alien could. The city fell silent as Leora's voice rang out. Today we decide the outcome of these trials. For generations my suitors have been judged by strength, wealth, or status. But true worthiness is measured differently. Intelligence, courage, morality, and heart. These qualities endure when others fail. She paused, her gaze falling directly on Ethan. Ethan of Earth, you have demonstrated all of these qualities. You have faced dangers that would have overwhelmed even the strongest aliens. You have helped others when your own success was at risk. You have shown ingenuity and quick thinking beyond expectation. And most importantly, you have acted with honor, compassion, and courage at every turn. Ethan bowed his head respectfully. Princess Leora, I did not act for glory or recognition. I only did what I felt was right. If I have earned your respect, I am grateful. Leora's expression softened. Respect alone is not enough. Worthiness must also be recognized. Therefore, I declare that among all suitors, one stands above the rest. Ethan of Earth, you are worthy, not merely of success in these trials, but of the consideration of partnership, trust, and friendship beyond comparison. A murmur ran through the crowd. Some aliens whispered incredulously. A human, a fragile species by their standards, had been declared worthy above the mightiest and most accomplished aliens of the galaxy. Many of the suitors who had come to impress now looked upon him with new admiration and humility. The surviving alien candidates approached cautiously, including Grithon, Xylar, and even Terran, who had once scoffed at his presence. Grithon's 6 arms gestured formally. Ethan, your actions have proven that strength is not the measure of worth. Your intelligence, courage, and moral compass have saved lives and earned our respect. I admire your accomplishments. Xylar nodded, a quiet glow of acknowledgement in his eyes. I doubted you, human. I see now that humans possess qualities beyond what we imagined. Your ingenuity, decisiveness, and bravery have changed my perspective forever. Even Terran, who had struggled for survival on the collapsing asteroid, approached. I underestimated you, she admitted softly. I see now that courage is not measured by size, power, or natural gifts. You have taught me something important, to value heart and action over arrogance and pride. Ethan shook his head. I only did what anyone could do if they chose to. Humans are not naturally the strongest or fastest. But we can think differently, act quickly, and care for others. That is enough, sometimes more than enough, to succeed. As the plaza erupted in celebration, citizens cheering for their unlikely hero, Leora stepped closer to Ethan. Her violet eyes, which had once been calm and unreadable, now held curiosity and admiration. You have changed how I see humans, she said. For a long time I believed that alien strength, intellect, or lineage determined worthiness. But you have proven that courage, ingenuity, and morality define true strength. Ethan smiled faintly, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. Thank you, Princess. I hope that my actions show that humans can contribute to the galaxy in ways no one expected. We may be underestimated, but we are capable of much more than appearances suggest. Leora's lips curved into a small, genuine smile. The first, that Ethan had seen directed at him. You are not just worthy of respect, Ethan. You are worthy of partnership, friendship, and trust. You have shown me that the heart and mind of a human can stand alongside any species in the galaxy. The citizens and surviving suitors gathered to honor Ethan and the other heroes of the trials. For the first time, humans were seen not as fragile, simple beings, but as a species capable of extraordinary courage, innovation, and empathy. Word of Ethan's deeds spread quickly, reaching other worlds, changing perceptions of humanity forever. In the palace halls, Leora walked beside Ethan, discussing the future. The galaxy has long underestimated humans, she said. Perhaps your example will inspire others to reconsider the value of courage, creativity, and compassion. Ethan nodded. I hope so. Humans are not perfect, but we can rise to challenges that seem impossible. We can act with morality, protect others, and adapt when circumstances demand it. That is how we survive and thrive. Leora looked at him thoughtfully. You have survived more than most. You have proven that true worth lies in action, not in titles or lineage. You have also shown me something rare, the ability to inspire others not through fear or dominance but through integrity and ingenuity. The remaining suitors who had once mocked or doubted him now bowed in respect. Grethon, the six-armed alien, spoke first. I have learned that humans can be as resourceful, courageous, and honorable as any of the galaxy's greatest species. We underestimated you, Ethan. Never again. Xyler added, your choices, even when risking your own safety, have shown that morality and courage can overcome power and instinct. I am honored to have witnessed your actions firsthand. Even Terran, still recovering from the asteroid trial, nodded. I see now that humans possess qualities no alien can imitate fully. Your example will stay with me forever. Ethan smiled, faintly. Thank you. Humans are often underestimated, but we rise when we need to. That is all we can do, and sometimes that is enough to make a difference. As evening fell, the palace held a formal celebration. Lights shimmered across the city, music played from both human and alien instruments, and the citizens cheered for the hero who had defied expectations. Leora approached Ethan privately, away from the crowd. You have shown the galaxy what humans can do, she said softly. Your courage, creativity, and selflessness have changed not only how I see humans, but how many will see them in the future. For the first time, I feel that a human could stand as an equal, not because of strength, but because of heart and mind. Ethan bowed his head respectfully. I am honored, Princess. I did what I could, nothing more. Humans may be underestimated, but we do our best when it matters most. Leora studied him for a long moment. You have more than proven yourself. You have earned respect, admiration, and a place in this city, and perhaps even in the galaxy. That is more than most suitors ever achieve. The crowd continued to cheer, but for Ethan the moment was quieter, more personal. He had survived impossible challenges, saved lives, and shown that humans could not only compete with other species, but excel in ways the galaxy had never imagined. The perception of humans had changed forever. Leora, standing beside him, spoke again. The trials are over, and your worthiness is recognized. You have shown that true courage and morality can overcome fear, prejudice, and even overwhelming odds. The galaxy underestimated humans, but you have proven that we are capable of greatness, Ethan nodded. Perhaps it is time the galaxy remembered that humans are not fragile, that we adapt, we think, and we act with integrity. That is what makes us valuable, and sometimes unstoppable. Leora smiled, a rare warmth in her eyes. You have changed my view and the view of many others. You are worthy in every sense. As the sun set over Zytheria, casting golden light across the city, Ethan looked out at the citizens cheering below. Humans were no longer underestimated. The galaxy had seen what one human could do, and that one example had shifted perceptions forever. Princess Leora stood beside him, her violet eyes reflecting pride and curiosity. Ethan, she said softly, you have proven that worthiness is not measured by strength, lineage, or technology. You have shown that courage, creativity, and morality define true greatness. The galaxy has underestimated humans for too long. You have changed that. Ethan smiled faintly. I only did what any human could do when they care for others and think carefully. We are not perfect, but we rise when we must. Leora nodded. And that is why you are worthy. In that moment, the palace, the city, and even the distant stars seemed to acknowledge the truth. Humans had shown themselves to be capable of extraordinary courage and ingenuity. One human, with heart and mind united, had changed the galaxy's perception forever.